Hello and welcome to another edition of Mailbag. What is Mailbag? Well, Mailbag is a feature of the channel where you guys leave lots of comments on the channel and I attempt to answer those comments, or if I can't answer those comments, I throw it out to you guys who have more knowledge on some of this stuff than I do. So let's get into the first mailbag of this session. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. I always feel like I should be doing a bit of a Ronnie Corbett thing when I'm sitting doing the mailbag. But the next comment or question comes from Thomas Law. Funny numbers. Everything's getting funny numbers at the moment on YouTube. I don't know quite what's going on, but everybody's getting funny numbers. Anyway, Thomas, I'm assuming is who is writing this, said, in response to Yamaha SY99 using the diagnostic mode, a video I did in January 2024. And Thomas writes, interesting. I owned an SY55 keyboard workstation which had an 8-track sequencer. Don't remember it having FM, but it did have up to 4 elements of WM2 waveforms, multi-effects and 8-note polyphony. Oh, and of course the multi-filters. Now, the interesting thing about the SY55 was that at the time of launch of the SY50 or the Yamaha SY55, it was noted that Yamaha had dropped its DX7 FM Synth capability in favour of the PCM AWM2 synth engine. Now, the funniest thing is the SY77 was released the year before the SY55. The numbering sequence for these synthesizers went completely out of the what's it, because the Yamaha SY77 was released, then the SY55 was released, then the SY99 was released, and then the SY85 was released. Yeah, it makes no sense, and only the SY77 and SY99 bore any sound engine resemblance in terms of being able to transfer sounds from A to B. But there was obviously some logic there. Anyway, given the sequence of releases that I just said, there was a lot of comparisons made between the SY55 and the SY77. A lot of comparisons. If you go and look around the literature around the SY55 release, you'll see a lot of comparisons being made. And the general conclusion by the press, because the press always make general conclusions, of course, remember that, was it's basically a cheaper workstation than the SY77, but very functional. Next comment or question comes from RTCS2000, who is correcting me on some of the things I said about the Korg T1. This was a response to a video which was called T1 Loading PCM Samples, a mailbag I did in February 2024. And RTCS writes, in response to your response to at David Bone, who asked if the Korg T1 could load PCM samples, you stated the T1 was only capable of loading 512 kilobytes of PCM samples. Fortunately, this is incorrect. And this is all to do with maths, by the way, so follow me carefully. The PCM sample size for the T1 and the T1EX and the T1 T2EX and the T3EX is 1 megabyte. It does go into the sort of size of this. The sample data is stored at 16-bit depth, equivalent to 2 bytes equals 1 word per sample point, which means that the total number of user sample points that can be stored in the PCM RAM is 524,288 sample points, or as Korg states in their official T-Series brochure, 512k words. Now, that's probably where I've misread something, because I probably read it in the brochure just to remind myself and read 512k and assumed that it was actually 512k, not 512k words. Because if you divide 524,288 points by 1024, which is the size of a kilobyte, you get 512k words. Using PCM sample data with a sample rate of 32 kilohertz, the sample rate on which Korg uses for all M1 and T series ROM samples, the PCM sample rate is approximately 16.4 seconds of sample data. There you go, the official 16.4 seconds of sample data. Now, using Korg DSM1 disk is not the only way to load PCM samples into the Korg T1, T2EX, T3EX PCM sample RAM. The T-Series workstation is all capable of loading sample data into the PCM sample RAM using a MIDI sample dump standard, SDS. A software utility called T-Series Multi-Sounds Programmer allows the Korg T1 owners to load the samples onto their PCM sample RAM via MIDI, as well as creating and configuring their own custom multi-sounds. The custom samples and multi-sounds can then be saved to the T-Series PCM disk. Now, as you mentioned, the Korg has two different disk formats, the program sequence disk and the PCM disk. The program sequence disk can hold contents of 4 instances of T-Series workstation memory, including programs, combis, global sequence configuration, but does not store the PCM sample RAM if present. The PCM sample disk format, however, holds the contents of a single instance of the T1, T2, EX, T3EX memory, including programs, combis, globals, and sequence configurations, as well as any sample data, the PCM sample RAM, and user-defined multi-sounds. I hope you followed that. There will be questions later. More information about the two PCM sample disk formats can be found in the Korg T1, T2, T3 reference guide documentation, which is available for download from Korg's website. And this is all very, very true. And I have said on many occasions that I might not get it all right all the time. And in this case, I didn't get it all right all the time. But I always say, you learn something new every day. And I've learnt quite a few new things from that response. So thank you very much.